This is Radio TV Phono Nut, and this is going to be another resurrection video, although this one doesn't look as trashy as some that I've featured. This one's almost presentable in comparison to those. But what we have here is an Imperial 4-speed, one-tube wonder kitty record player from 1968. When I got it, I went ahead and recapped the amplifier and then discovered the cartridge was bad in the tone arm. This is the original tone arm, typical kitty record player tone arm it had a turnover cartridge in it. Well, since this is a one-tube wonder, it requires a cartridge with 3 volts output, 2 to 3 volts output, and I wasn't going to pay $25 or $30 for a new old stock cartridge to put in this arm, so this record player got buried in the shop. Well, I was cleaning out the other day looking for something else, and I dug this out, and I figured, well, that might be a good resurrection. So I was on eBay, and somebody had one of the universal replacement tone arms like what you could buy in the 60s and 70s. They were about anywhere from $250 to $350 during that time period, which was, even back then, cheaper than what you could buy just a cartridge for, and sometimes even a needle. So oftentimes it was just easier and cheaper just to change out the whole tone arm than to replace the cartridge. So found this tone arm on eBay that was still sealed in still sealed in plastic on a cardboard stock peg hanger card thingy, whatever. It was $10 and some change, including shipping, and I said, well, I'll take a chance on it. It looks physically in good shape. Well, I got it, and fortunately the cartridge was good, and it sounds pretty good for what it is, but when I'd got this, apparently I'd failed to service the drive mechanism because the motor didn't want to start at first. It stalled and took it a few seconds to come up to speed, and then the turntable that needs to be lubricated. So let's pop it apart and do a little minor maintenance to it. I don't think I'm going to do I might as well just do a full tear down. It's going to need it anyway. But first, let's have a look at the underside. Here's the amplifier. It uses a single 25EH5 tube, which is a Hitachi brand. Looks like a Japanese speaker. General Industries motor, which is pretty much standard. Date coded the 21st week of 68, so we can assume the record player is from 68. Alright, let's get it apart and do a little clean and lube on it, and this thing ought to be ready to go. Alright, we took the motor apart, cleaned it, lubricated it, and it's got nice, it spins down nicely now. That's the way one's supposed to do, and to do it right, you have to take these motors apart, clean them and lube them. I mean, yeah, you can just dribble some oil on the top and bottom bushings, but there's still dirt and crud in there. I think that was always the mistake my dad made. It seems like at the beginning of every summer, the box fan wouldn't run. He'd dribble some motor oil down in it, and it'd run a while and gunk up again. Of course, I was too young at the time to know any better, but I think what that fan really needed was to be taken completely apart, washed out, and then lubricated with a decent non-detergent electric motor oil, and it would have probably been fine. Alright, I got it all back together, cleaned the wheel with rubber renew, did a light cleaning and lubrication of all this. I didn't take it completely apart, but it seems to be moving okay. Took the spindle out, cleaned it and lubricated it, took the motor apart, cleaned it and lubricated it. I did not replace the motor mounting grommets. The ones in here still seem to be usable, and since this is more of a resurrection, I'm not gonna pour too much of an investment into this thing. Let's put the platter on it and make sure it works and call it a day. Alright. That's a lot better. Of course, that platter is a bit off balance, but some of these plastic ones were whenever they were new. But as long as it'll play a record without scraping the speed control lever, that's all I'm worried with. Do you see what I just did? I put the dadgum motor coil in here backwards. So if you want to play your records backwards, just flip the motor coil upside down and it'll do the trick for you. Good.
Everybody else, and I bet that's why we can't see what's wrong with ourselves. So until we start being honest,
speculated
16 RPM.
Have moved Mr. Ruby. In the 80s, he knew that Mr. Ruby had lived to within 10 years of the turn of the century.
78.
the only thing I know is that I never can forget you. I've been longing for you, baby, ever since the day I met you. I got you where.
Good. It's working fine. Well, there it is, all back together.
To all its charm again.
And it's getting to be about dark 30, so it's time to conclude this video. One of the things I like about summer, I don't like the heat and the high power bills, but I like the fact that it doesn't get dark until 8 or 8:30 versus 5 o'clock here in the wintertime, but I like that cheaper power bill.